Let's go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Frederick Dorsey with Dorsey's International Realty. I want to welcome you to this webinar. I got three extraordinary ladies. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. We're going to start with Carla Kidd first.
Hello, everybody. Welcome from Sarasota, Florida. I am the current president of FIAPSI USA. Happy to see so many familiar faces on here. And for those who I don't know, welcome. We're just so happy that you've joined us today.
All right, Eugenia.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eugenia Foxworth, and I am the past president of FIAPSI USA, and I own Foxworth Realty in New York City.
And last but not least is Holly.
Hello, everyone. I am Holly Woodward, and I am in Owasso, Oklahoma today, which is what I call home. I'm right in the middle of the United States. For those of you that don't know where that is, I am the immediate past president for the Residential Real Estate Council, and I am very pleased and honored to be here with y'all today.
All right, so thank y'all ladies for taking the time out. We're going to keep this short and sweet. So just a pretty much overview of what we're going to go over, just exploring the minds from y'all seasoned members of FIAPSI with how to conduct global real estate through conferences while exploring the world. So the first question, we're going to go backwards. We're going to start with you, Holly. How long have you been a member of FIAPSI, and what benefits does your membership offer to your clients?
Well, I'll tell you what, as I said, I was the immediate past president for the Residential Real Estate Council. And so the Residential Real Estate Council has been a member of FIAPSI for several years, or well, quite a few years. I wasn't personally a member, but I was really interested. And so our CEO at the time, Lana Bakoviak, was the one that typically attended meetings, and international or global was very at the top of my list of things that I wanted to make sure that in my presidential year we really looked at hard. And so I then began to be the voice of the council at FIAPSI. And so I actually attended my first FIAPSI meeting in Paris during my presidential year, and learned very quickly that it was a non-negotiable meeting because of the relationships that I built in just those few short days. And so though I'm seasoned in real estate 22 plus years, and I'm seasoned that I'm 51 years old, I'm not as seasoned as these lovely ladies in FIAPSI, but I am very much a believer.
Okay, fair enough. Now, same question, Eugenia. How long have you been a member of FIAPSI, and what benefit does the membership offer to your clients?
I'm sorry, I turned off the sound. I have been a member of FIAPSI since 2003, but I've been a groupie since 2000.
Okay.
Because they were the most important to me when I got into the industry, unaware of who FIAPSI was.
Okay. And then what benefits does it offer to your clients?
Oh my God, it's amazing. It's not just what FIAPSI offers my clients in business. I do international, but we all did within the States. But being a member of FIAPSI, you have the exposure. I tell them what is going on all over. The benefits that they get is the knowledge I learn when I'm at the FIAPSI meetings, the people that I have met. If someone wants to, whatever my clients are looking for, whether they have local residents in New York, or they have properties outside of New York City, I can tell them what is going on because that I can ask.
Okay, fair enough. And last but not least, Ms. Carla, how long have you been a member of FIAPSI, and what benefits does the membership offer to your clients?
I started with FIAPSI back in 2007. and started going to conferences then. I think my first one was in Miami, and then I ended up in one of the World Congresses in Panama City, Panama. So it has been a really great experience for me. I think the benefit of FIOPSI is really the membership. They are very sophisticated. They are very professional. In addition, we have such great educational opportunities that Eugenia sort of touched on a bit. You know, we really look at high level things, trends that are coming, things that are happening around the world that we're not necessarily aware of, or maybe we've slightly read about it but don't know more about it, but people have been doing it in another country for years and they can show us different ways of things. But it's been a phenomenal experience so far, and I'm very proud to be a member and president of this chapter.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. Now we're gonna start with you, Carla. How do you stay updated on global real estate trends, and how does this information inform your local market strategies?
I've been told by one of my brokers years ago that I'm a sponge. So
Okay.
I absorb everything. I am still, well, until about a month ago, was still very old school, getting 3 newspapers a day. I sign up for every international blog. So I am a massive avid reader, and that's where I really get most of my information. And then I go to a lot of conferences where I'm interacting with people and learn more. There's never enough coming my way for me to learn and understand about what's going on in the world.
Okay. You said 3 newspapers. What's your top 3? Well, you said 3,
So
so what's your 3?
I subscribe obviously to my local newspaper, but I do the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. And then online, I get the Washington Post.
Okay. Okay. So that means you gotta
So
get
I'm
up
kind of
early to
tuned
do,
in.
you gotta get up early to juggle with them. All right, Miss Eugenia, how do you stay updated on global real estate trends, and how does this information inform your local market strategies?
Eugenia, you got to unmute, honey.
I'm so sorry. It's just that there's noise in the background and I didn't want to disturb you. Well, basically, beside the newspapers, our principal members, our chapters, we're in 72 countries. I interact with them on the FIOPSI app. I have personal things that I need, and I can reach out and find out what is going on and the trends throughout some of our principal members here within the United States. For example, HGAR, or when Holly was in Chicago, they have a group that they send out things that are going on. So we're pretty much aware. We are, I guess you'd say, we are like Carla Ray said, a sponge, but actually the water comes to us. We don't have to go to it because that is what I count on. I need to know. I need to know from our mortgage brokers we have a couple of members that I've met that were mortgage brokers that gives a head start on what is happening, say in California, what is happening in New York.
Okay. And you mentioned HGR. Can you give me what that abbreviation stands for?
HGAR is the Hudson
HGAR.
Gateway
Okay.
Association of Real Estate, who happens to be the largest in New York.
Okay. So you learn something new every day. Just in case somebody heard you say the abbreviation, didn't know. So now
Oh,
we clear now. We clear. All right,
thank
Miss
you.
Holly. No worries. Miss Holly, how do you stay updated on global real estate trends, and how does this information inform your local market strategies?
Well, this is going to sound canned, but it's not. I mean, obviously, Wall Street Journal, New York Times as well. Carla, you said that. I have thoroughly enjoyed jumping on fiopsi.org.
Okay.
And I have said, you know, I've been extremely involved in education. That's where I started volunteering at my local board years and years ago. I got involved, 20 plus years ago, serving in education because I know how important that is. And so that's why you'll find me at any educational conference that I can get my hands on, the same as these ladies like sponges. But that's it. And then developing relationships, the relationships that we start to have globally. One of my first clients, before I didn't even consider myself an international realtor until I became a part of FIOPSI, because one of my very first clients was Clay Pampion, and I can say that, from Granada, Spain. And who knew, fast forward 22
Right.
years, that I would be in Granada at a conference, right? And that would be how I would meet him, because we could only speak on the phone. But that's it. I use fiopsy.org as a resource. The app, like Eugenia was saying, is tremendous. Real relationships. You'll hear me speak about that anytime I have the opportunity to. It's developing those real relationships, REAL, not RELA, relationships with people around the globe, so that we can truly, truly help our clients and change this industry.
Okay. Good answer. I like it. I mean, I gotta like it because it's your response, right? But it was really
No,
good
you don't
answer.
have to, but I
No, I'm just
appreciate
messing. I'm
that.
just messing. I'm just messing. I'm just messing. We got, laughter is the best medicine. We gotta
Amen.
sugar it up.
Yes. Yes.
So the next question, we're gonna go to you, Eugenia. We're gonna go not the order I was going to mess y'all up a little bit. So the third question would be, do you have any particular areas or countries where you specialize? Then the second part to that question is, or is your expertise more broad in terms of international real estate?
Yes, it was. I actually my first listing was international before the international buzzword, and that was in 2000. My
Okay.
first listing came from my dad's friend in Acapulco, and there was no way of getting it out to the public because we did not have that. So I basically started off internationally, because you don't have to be licensed in Acapulco. The maids can sell and everybody else can sell. Now they have the different boards and organizations in Mexico, but at that time they did not have them. So I basically specialize in New York City, Riverdale, New York. I was doing some things in Costa Rica, but I do a lot in Acapulco. And unfortunately now, some of the villas that I was doing were destroyed during the storm at Las Brisas, the old section.
Okay.
So that was my specialty.
Okay. Miss Holly, do you
Yes.
have any particular area? See, I told you I'm going crisscross. I was going
Yeah,
one
there you
way, then go another way, and I got to keep y'all on y'all toes. So we're gonna go.
absolutely.
Do you have any particular areas or countries where you specialize, or is there expertise more broad in terms of just international real estate?
I'll tell you what's one of the most exciting things to me about Piobsi and about international and global real estate is that I can be broad now, because I do have those relationships that I've built. I used to work under one of the larger firms, one of the more well-known firms in the world, but now I am with an independent brokerage. And so by being a member of FIOBSI, I not only have a local focus that I work on here, but and expertise, but I have a global reach. And
Okay.
so I love to let my clients know that no matter where they're going in the world, I can help them out. And like Eugenia said, we're in 72 different countries with FIOBSI. And so what I might have once thought was a very limited scope, by attending these conferences and sitting down and having conversations and getting to know other members, then you start developing those relationships to expand your global reach. And I feel like I have done that. I mean, I know that if I needed somebody in Vienna, Austria, just on the meeting that I went to in Paris, I've got my guy, right? And then if I need someone in Germany in multiple locations, if I need somebody in Milan, if I need somebody, it's amazing. And so I have to say now, I truly have a global reach. So
Okay.
sky's the limit.
All right. Fair enough. Good stuff. And Miss Carla, do you have any particular areas or countries where you specialize, or is it your expertise more broad in terms of international real estate?
Well, my where I'm authorized to sell, where I'm licensed to sell is in Florida. My market area is Sarasota, Bradenton, and Venice. Kind of expands in that area. I don't do real estate outside of my market area. I refer business. We are, as Holly said, we are so fortunate to have partners all the way around the world. But my niche, I guess, if I would say, it comes to where I've traveled and some other positions that I held before this. So I started back in 2006 going to Central America. So when the market was sort of starting to tank here in the United States and people were looking for other opportunities, Panama, Mexico, Nicaragua, Costa Rica were all very, very popular areas. So I started traveling there to kind of build my partners in those countries to be able to refer business. Because of that experience, I was the liaison for NAR to the country of Panama. I did that for 4 years or 5 years, and then I became the global coordinator to the entire region. So I had North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. And then that moved into me now being director of development for all our Caribbean islands for Coldwell Banker. So that neck of the woods is kind of where I sort of specialize. But when I say specialize, it means I know about the markets and what's going on there, but I always refer to someone within the country to help you.
Okay, now absolutely. Back to instead of relationships, what we say, Miss Holly, real
Relationship.
relationships. There we go. There we go. All right. Carla, we stuck on you. Number 4. What strategies do you employ to navigate different time zones and schedules when working with international clients?
So I am famous all the time because we just had the time change, right? Which, by the way, I want to go to bed at 7 o'clock at night. I don't know about anybody else. We were leaving last night to go to dinner at 7, and I said to my husband, "It feels like it's midnight. What are we doing?" Right? But since this has changed, I mean, and because I deal with so many other countries, I always ask the box who is sitting right there. So I'm not going to say her name, but I will say, "Hey, what time is it in, St. Lucia, or what time is it
Right.
in, Jamaica right now?" So I always know, what time I'm calling, if I'm going to be on the right time, if I'm calling at an inappropriate time. But yeah, she's my best friend when it comes to that.
Okay. Funny you said that. That's where I'm at now in Jamaica. Jamaica time stay the same. Like us going back an hour from the States, now we even. So it's the same time. Normally an hour or two in front of
Right.
Jamaica, but now we evened out.
Yeah.
All right. Number 4, Eugenia, this on you. What strategies do you employ to navigate different time zones and schedules when working with international clients?
Well, fortunately for me, I don't get jet lag, so I usually organize things according to theirs. My only problem is making sure I'm connected, on the internet or the cell phone to reach out to them. Generally, it's only 3 to 6 hours with my clients. Now in Mexico, there's a 2-hour time difference. So I just make sure that I don't get confused. I look at my cell, I see what time it is, and then I call my clients and say, what is the best time for you? Or if in fact they're flying in from another country, I allot for them to get their rest prior to my booking schedules for them.
Okay. All right, Miss Holly, what strategies do you employ to navigate different time zone and schedules when working with international clients?
Just like these ladies, I figure out the time frame. I have open and communication and set expectations up front with any clients that I'm working with. Some of them are night owls and some of them are early morning. It just depends. I'm up from 6 a.m. typically. Well, I'm ready for the day at 6 a.m. and then
Okay.
I can be up until 11, except with this time change. Like you're saying, Carla, for some reason you said 7 yesterday, and I was on the phone with my husband who travels quite a bit, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I think I'm going to put my pajamas on." And he said, "It's like 7:14." I was like, what?
Right,
And that
right.
felt terrible, so I kept doing. But that's it. I set up the expectations, and then I put everything in. I do calendar invites with them. Obviously, WhatsApp is very popular with a lot of international clients, but that's it. Just making sure that we have those timelines set up. 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever the case may be. I speak the majority of the time with people in Italy or Spain or Portugal right now, and so I just set that up. So I might start my day at 6 a.m. so that I'm still catching them within their business day because I want to be respectful of their schedules as well.
Okay, so I got a what is it? An add-on. So do anyone? I know with iPhone because I do it myself, but because I got an iPhone, is I'll set up depending how many clients. Like I had a client in Guam, and I didn't know their time, so I'll put on my calendar or on my clock. I'll add Guam, so that way I kind of know their schedule. Just like if I went to Dubai, like I'll just add a calendar so I know the time, and then I kind of work it like that. I don't know if Android does it. Maybe they do, but I know Apple you can do that. So you know exactly what the time is. So when you calling or not calling, you like right lined up. So you're just adding a world clock to your clocks.
Fred, we had an agent on our team years ago. She didn't last very long. She was so enthralled with not ever missing a lead that if something came in at 2 o'clock in the morning, like she would wake up and just start calling people and doing the lead. And she would come in the office and she would look exhausted all the time. And I said to her, you have to stop doing this. One, it's not healthy for you. I said, but two, you're waking up in the middle of the night. You have no idea. You're not even checking what time it is for the other person that you're calling. You just think
Exactly.
like, oh, I need to get on this right now and then. You could be waking up their family, their children. I mean, you have to really think before you press send on your button, and you're communicating with people that you're not
Absolutely.
ruining something that's going on in their private time and at a wrong time as well.
Yeah, and I do want to add to that, Carl, because you can set up when you want your email to go, right? So I might be up at 10 or 11, but somebody might be alerted like me anytime something comes in at ding, 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 and unless I'm on do not disturb hours. But I'll set up an email to go at a certain time because it might be on my mind right then, and I'll fill that out, but then know that there's no way I would want to disturb. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And I like what you said as well, Fred. I have the same thing set up. I set up scheduling it based on a world clock. So that's awesome.
All right. Now we going to number 5, and we're gonna go round robin. Since you answered last, Miss Holly, we're gonna start with you. Are there
Okay.
any are there any challenges or delays that your travel schedule may pose for your clients in terms of communication or availability?
I will tell you what, I have traveled a lot. And last year I traveled more than I have in my business as the president of the Residential Real Estate Council. And I have a business partner. So I'm very blessed. But prior to that, I always had an associate in my office that I knew, liked, and trust that could be my boots on the ground here. Again, communication, expectations. What we've learned in the last few years going through COVID is the ability, right, that we can jump on a Zoom call. So I might not be in person, but I can still have a face-to-face, on camera with my clients, even when I'm traveling. And that seems to give them peace of mind. I had this conversation with a realtor that's coming up through leadership, and she called me and she was in tears and she said, I don't understand. They say I'm traveling too much. They say this, that kind of thing. I'm gone too much. And so they cut her loose from a very, a listing that she had paid all this money for marketing and everything else. Like Eugenia said, like Carla said, like you've touched on, Fred, and I've discussed the importance of what we're doing and the traveling and the education and the relationships that we're building. It benefits our clients so much that I explain that right up front. I let them know how invested and how involved I am, not just in their transaction, but all transactions and what that can mean to them. So there can be some challenges. Sometimes you might not have Wi-Fi on a plane. Sometimes you can't communicate like that, but it's typically pretty narrow. I let them know my schedules. I was told years ago, don't tell people every time you're going out of town. And I was
Agreed. I learned that. I
oh,
learned that too.
well, I won't
Everything
tell.
is an appointment. I got appointments. If anything family time, nobody cares. It's
I'll,
all
I'll,
about them.
I'll tell you what though. So I worked for a big company and we had flown to Austin. This the first time and the only time that I did not disclose that I was going to be gone. This is what happened. I was going to a luxury meeting in Austin, Texas, and I was anxious. I had a beautiful vacant listing. My clients had gone on to Washington State. What's the big deal? I've got boots on the ground here, somebody to handle it. I walk into this luxury meeting, literally gotten off the plane, got into the meeting, and I get a phone call from a realtor showing my vacant listing. Hey, what's up? And she said, the house is flooding. I said, what? Like, oh my gosh. And somebody had stuffed something in the upstairs sink and turned the water on. There had been tenants in the house for a while. I can't say, I don't know exactly what happened, but I'm sitting, 8 hours away, and I have clients out of state that I'm going to have to call and say, I'm not there, but I've got this person, and this person. And so I've just always been very candid with my clients. I let them know that I have set up a situation, and I tell, I want them to respect that I also need to take some time for me, even though I've got their home listed. Sometimes it's personal time that I'm taking away, right? That's what's right for me. It's not right for everybody, and I completely understand and respect that. But yeah, it's just I have somebody here. So when I'm on planes or when I'm, up, just like we have to consider our clients when we are traveling internationally. If our clients start calling us here, it might be 3 o'clock in the morning that our phone's ringing in a hotel room and you're feeling like crud. You don't necessarily want to pick that up. So I probably over disclose, but that's what I do. It's not a problem if you set up that communication and expectation up front.
Okay, good. Miss Carla, are there
Well,
any challenges or delays that you have?
there's always challenges when you go away. And I'm sure everyone on, on this call today knows that the second you are ready to go on vacation, that's when all hell breaks loose. Like everyone
Agreed.
wants everything at once. So there's this running joke between my business partner and I that one of us always needs to be going away at some point in time because the other one is always flooded. But the whole point of that is that, yes, you do need to have a team. You do need to have someone else to support you. My business partner's in Spain and Portugal right now. Yes, she's calling me at 4 o'clock in the morning, not thinking that it's 4 o'clock in the morning because she's having a drink somewhere in Madrid. But it happens, right? And we just make sure each other knows what's going on. We communicate all the time. She knows that I'm here. You have to have somebody that you can trust and that will run with things that you can keep doing what you do when you're on vacation or a conference and not have to worry about what's going on back at home. So that's why having that trusted partner is extremely important. And I'm very fortunate.
Okay. Miss Eugenia, are there any
Well,
challenges? Okay, y'all remember the questions now, so we good.
yes, of course.
See, teamwork made the dream work. Let's go.
Well, I own my company, and being that when I first opened, I got an answering service, and I don't know any other brokerage firm that uses a doctor's answering service. So if any of you've called my office and no one answers, it's a living service. And then they ask, is it an emergency?
They do.
And
I
I
called you many times.
finally had to tell them the service, because there's several people, because it's 24/7. If I'm in China, they'll find me wherever I am. The answering service, if you say it's an emergency. So my answering service asks, is it an emergency? And what is the emergency? This service sends me a text. It sends an email. And if it's something pressing, they will call me directly, even as Holly said, if it's 4 in the morning, or Carla says, if it's 4 in the morning. I also have an agent that does not like to do real estate. And when I send out my messages, I do let people know that I'm traveling. And I say, I am going away on a real estate to a real estate conference, and I say where, or to a summit. And my clients seem to respect that. The only problem is that a new person may call, and if they don't reach me, they wonder, and then I will call them. I will take it at any time. But on my message out of the office, it does say contact Laurice, and they call her and they email her. So I'm basically covered. And I find that my clients love the fact that they can reach me 24/7.
Okay. So now we're gonna go Carla. This is you. This round robin is you. Where would you tailor your approach when working with clients who are interested in both local and international real estate investments?
So I find it important that you have to understand at least the process and a little bit about the area as to where they're looking to invest. And then you have to figure out who the appropriate partner is. And the appropriate partner isn't necessarily somebody who is the quote unquote rock star of the area. That's one of my least favorite terms. I'm going to just throw it out there. I want someone who can connect with my client. You can be the best agent, but if you don't speak the language, or there's not a personal connection there that the deal is going to close, it doesn't matter. You need someone that's going to connect with the client and make them feel good about the process, because let's be honest, this is really important to them. It's sometimes the most money that they'll ever spend on an investment. So you personally having a little bit of knowledge and then reaching out and interviewing the other agent before you're referring them to somebody to figure out if that agent is the correct person to refer to is great. And then give them some information, some background, but you also have to qualify your client. And I see this a lot as well, particularly on some of the social media and blogs. I have a client for Costa Rica who's in Costa Rica. Okay, that is so vague. You have to be very specific. Is it a buyer? Is it a seller? What area of Costa Rica? There are 13 climate zones in Costa Rica. What are they looking for? Do they want rainforest? Do they want something that's a little cooler? Figure that out first and press them. If your client just thinks they want to move to a country, that's not quite helpful. You have to educate them and do a little more research to get them to become a little more knowledgeable. And I think that's our responsibility to move forward before we place that referral.
No, I agree. So you just said, and I got a question. When you looking online and do you see more senior agents or more newer agents? Because it seems like it's more newer agents, like, hey, I got this referral, and don't really know how referrals work, or vesting out looking for people. Everything is on social media. You ask a question, and do you just see more seniors or newer agents that does
I
that?
see it from everybody. And I think a lot of it is just laziness.
Agreed.
Real honest. There are so many databases that you can go and look and see, who's in what state, who speaks what language. But yes, that takes an extra step. So I don't want to have to take that step. So I'm just going to post who works in this country. And there's so much more to that. Again, if you're not going to pick up the phone and you're not going to talk to that person and talk about your client and see if there's a fit between you and the agent, and then if there's going to be a fit between you and your client, there's just really no point.
Okay, Eugenia, it's to you.
Okay, what I generally do, as in Mexico and in Greece, there are two different apples and oranges. What I do is Mexico, I know. So I know what sells. I know if you're near the water, you cannot do certain things. And my clients often ask, what is the best place? Because I work with a lot of investors. What is the best place to go to? Well, first of all, you can't do a 1031 in Mexico. And a lot of them do not know this, but there are the alternatives. So I find out exactly what a person wants, why they're making the investment, if they're interested in going to another country. I know we used to have info on the internet for FIAPSI, and I actually kept a lot of things, and I read certain countries that in Greece, you can buy in one place and you can buy all over, but then you can't sell somewhere. In Mexico, as I said, by the water. So I know that, but when they ask about another country and I'm not familiar with it, I will often call the consulate, and they are so amazing. They will give you all the information because you're bringing income into their country. Or, as in other situations, I call a local, not local, but one of our FIAPSI members, and I ask about it. And the one thing that FIAPSI members do, they will chat away about their country. They will send you videos. They will say, I will help you when I get there. So basically, I try to, as you use the word, tailor it down to the specifics of the client. And often I have other alternatives for them, that which is best for them.
Okay, good stuff. Holly.
Okay. Yes, and I'll tell you what. So I agree and disagree. What works for me, right? And that's we are all professionals in this industry. We all do things a little differently. That's why it's awesome, because there's 1.516 million members at the National Association, or right around that in the United States. And then of course globally we've got a big expanse. I love that people know me as Holly from Oklahoma. I want, when people think about Oklahoma, because they don't know that Oklahoma City's 90 miles from me and I'm, Tulsa, Northeast Oklahoma, I want them to call me as a resource. I'm their trusted resource, and I want to earn that. And I have garnered that over the years. So I can't tell you how many people that I refer to realtors that I know, like, and trust, that I can give them that peace of mind when they're calling me from different states or countries. Like, who do you recommend here? And this is the truth. After I'd been on the panel for FIABC in Paris, somebody saw me on social media that I had been in Paris and reached out and said, "Hey, I've got, my client's daughter-in-law is going to be coming to Paris and needs to live there, and their budget's 1.5 million, whatever." She's given me all the details. Who do you know in Paris? Well, it just so happens that I had sat down and had a nice meal, and gotten to know a realtor from FIABC in France, which was amazing, right? I mean, it had just happened and I was able to make that connection. Now, I didn't know them at the level that I would have liked to when I handed off that referral, but of course that falls back on the realtor that reached out to me to make sure that it's a good fit. But I think that's it. It goes to the fact that we need to be attending these conferences. We need to be attending these summits. We need to be sitting down. We need to be breaking bread with people from all over the globe. We need to be, having a drink after a meeting, just to get to know people, so that we do develop those relationships, that we have that peace of mind referring. And so then if you have somebody wanting to, travel or think about another country, you have a name that comes to mind, so that you can reach out, and you want them to have, I'm fine if somebody from another country goes, "Oh, well, Holly's from the US, and hey, she has connections in every single state, multiple connections in multiple areas. Call me for that too," right? As far as our global network is concerned, I'm happy to be that resource, because that's what's so important, is making sure that someone's client is going to be taken care of like you would take care of them, or like they would take care of them, and then some. So that's it for me. There's not a price tag you can put on these conferences or summits when you're able to sit down and hear about someone's family or their partner or their children or their dogs or their cats or their, what they enjoy doing on the side. And then, because like COVID, when we all got so accustomed to Zooms and things like that, you can actually go, "Hey, I'm going to schedule a meeting with that agent in that country, myself and you. How about that before you ever go there? So you're going to be able to meet them online. And so you're going to know who to look for when you get to the airport, right? It's not just an outdated business photo. Nobody on this call would have nobody here would have an outdated card. Nobody. I know I look just exactly like what went out
Well,
on advertisement today, or right for the.
well, if they do, we just gotta change it. That's all. If they do, they gotta change it. Made a line, draw a line in the sand. We all good.
Yeah. So that's it for me. I want to make sure that I have, that peace of mind, knowing where any referrals are going, and help set them up, and being a connector. We're all connectors on here. If you are on this call, it is because you are truly engaged in real estate and you understand that it's the pulse of our economy and that you're making a difference every day. When you consider the number that are on here versus the number that are, not, it speaks volumes.
Okay. Now we're going to the next question. Eugene, is on you. What advice would you give yourself at the age of 10 or 10 years ago?
Oh my goodness. Well,
It's a big or heavy one.
that's major. Thank you
So
so
you could
very
pick
much. I
one of the
have to
two.
get you. Oh my Lord. Age of 10, I don't even remember, what I do remember. I really haven't changed that much. I still like clothes. I was doing business. I went to live with my mother later, but when I went to visit her, I had already organized the business. My mother wanted me to learn how to clean up my room. So I got cookies because I always had my father gave me little coins when I traveled. And I would get the kids in the neighborhood and I'd say, two for you if you do this, and I'll give this and that and the other to you if you do that. So I've been very organized. But 10 years ago, what advice would I have given myself? I was very happily involved with FIAPSI, but I traveled, I went places, I learned so many things from a lot of our FIAPSI members. And then when I became the president of FIAPSI USA, I sort of said, well, where did so-and-so go? This is someone I need now. So I basically should have stayed in touch with some of the people that I met whose shoulders I stood on and am standing on from the knowledge that I learned from them. And it's so important to maintain those friendships because you never, ever know. And that's what I found out. I've restarted reconnecting with several people, one in Germany that I hadn't seen in about 10 years. But that's what I give advice. Never let go of those FIAPSI members that are in real estate, because to me, they are solid gold.
Okay. Now we're gonna go Holly. What advice would you give yourself at 10 years old or 10 years ago? Or you can combine them both.
You know what I think would be awesome is to be able to go back to me at 10 right now and ask my 10-year-old to give me some advice, right? Because I think I had a lot of things figured out at 10 that I would have never imagined. US world history was my favorite subject. Mrs. Harper was my teacher. I lived in Butler, Missouri. Like I can think of it. I can see her standing there and how her knowledge was just like well, I had multiple teachers. I could tell you all of them. So when people say, school teachers, the impact, like I can genuinely list off multiples. But yeah, so I would go to my 10-year-old self, and this might sound a little cliche, but Maya Angelou, people may forget what you say, they may forget what you do, but they will always remember how you make them feel. And so stick with that, right? Like at 10 in the 5th grade, when you're really trying to fit in and for the next couple of years, that type of thing, when you get into teenage years, it really, and be true to yourself always. You know, don't ever compromise your integrity. And I can say that I haven't, and that makes me very proud. But I just want to, like I say, I'd actually like to go back to my 10-year-old self and get some advice, because I'd be laughing a lot more. We don't laugh near enough. I wanted to be a travel agent at that time, and that's what I was going to do when I went to college. So hey, it all fits. It's so interesting how it's not exactly the same, but how we subconsciously have those things figured out. And 10 years ago, what I would tell myself is, yes, get involved globally in real estate. I've been in real estate 22, almost 22, 23 years, but I didn't start global until just a few years ago. And learn how to travel with one carry-on only. That's what I'd say.
All right, good stuff.
Uh,
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's after being in Spain for 5 days and having to get up on stage and not having my bags. So that was big lesson. One carry-on.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. One carry on. All right, caller, it's on
All
you.
right. So I'm an only child. I grew up kind of always marching to my own band and tune, was always different and
Okay.
had ideas. So I'm not going to say 10, and I'm still that person today, but I'm going to really dive deep on this one, because I'm sure someone on here right now is struggling with making a decision in their life. Whether, you're in a place of employment where you don't want to be, you're having issues with your business partner or your brokerage, or you're in a marriage that you're uncomfortable with, or a relationship that isn't going anywhere. And that's a tough one, because we always struggle, is this the right thing for me to do, even though you really, really want to do it. And, that was me 10 years ago. And I took that step, and it was tough. But I tell you what, I wish I would have taken that step 10 years before that. So don't hesitate. Life is short. We all hear this. At the end of the day, you need to do what is best for you, and everything else will fall in line.
Okay. All
Thank
right,
you.
we wind.
Jaw's going deep.
All right, we wound it on time. I got 2 more questions, so we can kind of do these pretty quick. And I'll open maybe like 1 or 2 questions if there's any questions. So the next question would be, we're going with you, Eugenia. Do you set a budget for when you go to conferences? If so, is it monthly, quarterly, yearly, or how do you configure that budget?
Well, I just know the times that I travel. I look at the countries I'm going to, and that because we have that whole list of where we're going. We're a year in advance for some things. Some things are sort of spontaneous, but those aren't expensive things. And I set aside a certain amount of money. I set it aside from when I was an agent. I was with Coldwell Banker, and I set aside $40,000 to do the advertising that I wanted to do, because it was my own business, as it is for all of us here. We're independent contractors. So for conferences, etc., I don't necessarily have a budget. I just calculate how much would be spent, the airfare. I already know how much we normally spend. So I just average it out, and I know this is the amount of money that I need. And that amount of money is set aside. I give up a pair of shoes to go
Okay.
to certain,
Okay. Okay. All right, caller, you.
Our team tend to, for business purposes, we do sort of the same shows every year, so we don't really have to talk about it. We already know what they cost and when they are. With FIOPSI, it's a little different. Again, like Eugenia, planning a year in advance is important. You know what's coming up, and you just budget for things accordingly. Air miles are great. We love them. And, belonging to a specific hotel chain absolutely helps as well when you need to use those points where budget might be tight. But no, absolutely, the further in advance is better. But no, we have structured things that we know we're going to go to. NER is one of them without fail. So.
Okay. Holly.
And same for me, right? I have structure. I plan a year in advance. And then what I figure is, I have to sell a property that's roughly 100,000 a quarter to justify my travel, right? Based on my commissionable income. And I take every single commission that I receive and I put 50% into an account because obviously for taxes and all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, I'm constantly doing everything a year in advance on scheduling so that I know. And then if I have any left over, that's great. And May meetings at the Capitol are a non-negotiable for me. I travel to the annual conference as well. And now, like I say, after having been to FIOBC the last couple of years, that's a non-negotiable as well. So you put that in the mix. Now, travel, obviously, airfare and everything changes. So I try to plan as soon as the dates are open with the airlines, I'll go ahead and book that, even though I know that expense, I'm going to have to pay it in advance. And I always get a flexible fare in the event that something is going to change. What I would also recommend to anybody who hasn't started traveling a lot is to get a credit card that has either Sky Miles or benefits that you can utilize. Chase Sapphire does a lot of travel. American Express, of course, there are different corporate cards that really do benefit you. And like Carla said, hotel chains, make sure that you are utilizing those in the points. And phone a friend, right? And say, hey, would you like to go to this conference? Would you like to share a hotel room? Would you like to split meals? Would you like to do, I love to eat, but I really love to eat when I can share something with somebody.
All right.
It's
Fair
nice
enough.
if I get a plate and she gets plate, we share that kind of thing. And so yeah, definitely on an annual basis. So I've got it in my budget and I know what to expect in advance.
All right, good. Hey, Allison, I got a question. Was there any questions before I go to my last question? Because I can't see it for some strange reason. Do we have any questions?
Let me do a quick check. I saw a lot of people dropping their information, which
I
is,
haven't seen anything yet.
but I don't think, yeah.
I think
All
we're
right.
good, Fred.
All right, we good then. Because I was only going to do like 2 questions in 2 minutes, 1 minute apiece. So we don't have no questions. We all good. All right. You said it's nothing there, Miss
Nothing
Della,
there. You're clear.
Allison?
Yep.
All right, cool. All right. Now we got 152. So we got roughly 5 minutes. So we're gonna go, Eugenia. Is there anything that I should have asked that I didn't ask you? And if it was so, what would that have been?
What would that have been? Well, I would say, how has FIOBC benefited me as a real estate professional?
Okay.
That's a good question for everyone. That would have been something that you could have asked me, because
Okay.
a lot of people here know when I opened my business in 2008, it was FIOBC that kept me in business because the economy had bottomed out and everything else. And I got referrals, and those referrals came from FIOBC members. And matter of fact, I made a lot of money then. So,
Okay.
because
I see the
people were
twinkle in your
coming
eye.
and going. Yeah, so that would be the question.
All right, good. Mental note. So I remember that. Holly, question for you. Is there something I should have asked you that I didn't? And if so, what would that have been?
Why I waited so long to get into global. No, I
Okay.
guess maybe that truly, and going back to what Carla was saying, if you could go back 10 years, it's like 10 years ago, you could say to yourself, in 10 years, you're going to wish you would have done this now, right? It's that self-reflection and everything. And why not, right? Why not develop these relationships? Your world gets smaller and smaller, your circle gets smaller and smaller, but your reach gets larger and larger. And so get involved. Like, why wouldn't you is kind of where I'm at. But what I wanted to know, I wish you would have asked Eugenia, is what kind of shoes are you wearing that if you just like not take one pair of shoes, you can take a trip? Because girl, I'm like, I'm like, okay, if my budget is a pair of your shoes, I'm selling the wrong market.
You gotta remember Oklahoma, New York, Holly, two different markets, right?
But we have the
I was
high.
thinking the same thing, but I didn't want to get off track. I was thinking the same thing.
I love it. I love it. That's fun. But anyway, do it now. Yeah, get involved, guys. You know, anybody that's on this call that hasn't like attended conferences or made those relationships, do it now. Don't wait.
Good. All right, Carla, we at 155. It's on you. Is there a question I should have asked you that I didn't? And if it is one, what would that have been?
Well, I think the question that gets asked that, where do you decide where to go? Like, how do I know where I should spend my money and going? Because there's so many trips that are being offered all the time. And you have to separate what is an income stream for you and where your business is coming from, or what's just going to be a fun trip, right? So, there are a lot of things out there right now, and agents are saying, "Oh, Carly, how come you're not going to go?" They're sexy. I get it. But I'm never going to do any business with that country. I've never had any business from that country before, and it doesn't make sense for me. It's not a market that I necessarily want to just start and develop. I'd rather spend the money traveling to countries where I already have relationships and continue to build on those. Now, at the other end of the spectrum, there are great trips that we will never experience again that I will spend money on, knowing that I'm just going because I want the experience. And if there's a benefit into meeting someone while I'm there and making a connection, that's great. But I think if you have a limited budget and you are, where do I go? You need to know who your market is, where the people are coming from, and that's where you should be spending your money.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
And
we have
where we at?
one question, Fred.
157. All right, let's see
Yeah,
what we got.
we have one question. Brianna says, what about safety when we travel internationally? Is there anything we need to pay attention to?
All right, one lady, which one want to take this? Which one want to take this? All right, Eugene, it's on you.
Whenever I'm doing it because I've been around longer than the other two ladies, although they're older than me. We are very well protected because when we go to a country, the government knows that we're there. I mean, I was in Taiwan when they were having their problems, but we are very protected. We're together in Taiwan when they were having things that was, I don't know, 2006, 7, 8, 9, whatever. In Greece, before the Olympics, they were bombing. I was there with the CIP for CIPS. And we really don't have to worry because we're told what to do. You have, as in the case when we were in Indonesia, we had police escorts to get us through traffic. I think, as I said to someone the other day, I feel safer traveling with Fiopsi than I do going to some places now within New York. And I've never been skeptical, but don't worry about safety because things are taken care of for us.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Inia. Thank you.
Holly, you want to chime in? We got 60 seconds. Go.
Okay. I would just say to, The Gift of Fear. There's a book by Gavin DeBecker that was written years ago. It was on Oprah and I read it. And we always have that sixth sense, right? Fiopsi does set up, where they tell you about the country that you're going to before you go, and tips and tools and things like that to be aware of. Just be aware of those things. Use your best judgment. If you wouldn't do it here, don't do it there. There are rules, there are cultures. The internet technology is a blessing. You can get on and go, what's here, what's safe, that type of thing if you're traveling solo. And don't make it some like crazy adventure. Let people know where you're at. What I've done is find my iPhone. Whoever I'm traveling with, I make sure at least one of those people have it, because inevitably somebody's going to lose their phone when they're traveling internationally, and you're going to need to be able to find it. And that Find My iPhone will save your tail. But just be smart, maybe carry a bag around the front. Don't walk with your really expensive bags, depending on the country you're in, but do your research before you travel. Be smart, be safe, and enjoy.
All right, thank you. We at 2 o'clock, we at our mark. I would like to thank you ladies. Carla had to step out, but Eugenia, Holly, thank you. And hopefully you're all on the call. If you're not in FIOPSI, you'll want to join FIOPSI. We piqued a little bit of interest. So, Ms. Dalla, anything else?
No, sir. Thank you very much. It was a great panel. Thank you, ladies, and everyone that attended. And we hope to see you soon.
And thank you, Fred.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Good seeing you, Holly. And I hope we get some new members. You can always call us. We're open and available.
24/7. She's open
She is.
24/7.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I have my do not disturb on, but I will give you the expectations.
Exactly.
Call
She's
me.
24/7. All right. Bye.
Thank you.
You all
Bye.
have a blessed
Bye.
day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
There.